On this week's episode of the MentalEdge Podcast, host Frenando Lopez asks co-host Jay Wacasey about the release of his upcoming book, The Manuscript, before Jay turns the tables on Frenando and asks him some awfully personal questions. Stay tuned.
Cause it's about to get juicy.
Without delay.
Welcome to the Mental Edge. And I know everyone's wondering what the Mental Edge is. And we are here with its creator, one of its creators, and Jay Wacasey, a.k.a. J-Wo to me, because that's what I knew you on the football field as. And I wanted, like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to get together and find out on episode 1 why the Mental Edge.
Yeah, that's a great question. Now, I just want to say that we're going to talk about this book a little bit, and we're going to pull stuff from it probably for conversation over the next, I don't know, however many episodes.
And what book are you talking about?
And the book is called The Manuscript, and I just finished it, and I'm excited. I think the release will be in mid-December, just before Christmas. And originally when I contacted you, because I started thinking like, who would I want to do the cover? Who can fill me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fill me.
Yeah.
And your name and face just boop. There was not even a two. There was no plan B.
That's love. Thank you.
Yeah. It was. So I contacted you, and you're such a dependable.
Hard to get a hold of.
No, you're not. You're not, Junior. Frenando Junior Lopez, who I call Junior from the football field, and we would have had more conversations on the football field.
We're too busy making
touchdowns.
But
I could not catch you. Yeah. Okay, this guy was fast, and he still is. But I just knew there's something about your social media as well as conversations you and I have had over the last couple years, and very random that I'm connected to you,
right?
And I just knew, and I've watched you do amazing things artistically your whole life, and I've paid other graphic artists to do things, and I trust them. Okay, you know they did a good job for me, but there was not even a question. Like you could have told me a ridiculous number, Junior, and I'm telling you, don't get any ideas.
right. Yeah.
Just
all right, J-Wo.
No, seriously, but you're definitely the guy, and you know. I was going to ask you. I know you're asking me some questions, but not 10 minutes after I sent that, you sent me a message and said, "Hey, call me when you get a chance."
Wait, I sent you what? I want to get it clear exactly how it went down.
I think you sent me a Facebook response, right?
Okay. I just want to make sure,
I'm almost 100% sure it was a Facebook Messenger response because you and I, much as we have a lot of man love for each other, we didn't talk a lot on the daily.
No, we didn't.
Right? I knew I could get a hold of you.
Yeah. We just made comments on each other's Facebook and stuff like that. Yeah. Which, hold on, for everyone out there, how I reconnected with Jay was, and you don't even know this.
I love
this
moments
is live.
of reveals.
This is live, yeah. I think it was hashtag either 40, 41, 42.
40 strong.
40 strong. Yeah. Okay, now check this out. I saw you riding a bike doing a handstand.
Yeah.
Like you said, hey, a lot of people might put their foot on the seat and their hands on the handlebar and like the other foot in the air and like cruise along.
Yeah.
Some people might go no hands.
Yeah.
Some people, like there's variations to this. There's levels to this game.
Yes,
this
there's
bike
levels,
game, right? J-Wo does a handstand. Okay, I'm like, no. Do you remember this? The handstand.
Yes.
Yeah. At that moment, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I was overweight. This was. I'm serious, Jay. I'm serious. You don't know this. I never revealed this to you because you told me I need to keep some stuff from you.
Yeah.
I want this moment.
I want to have these moments. Yes.
So I decided. I said, man, Jay, and I think you're older than me. How old are you right now?
I'm 46.
Yep.
I call it 40 sexy.
My man, 40 sexy. Yeah. So 46 years old. You're 1 year. I'm born in May. 74, year what?
March of 73.
73. So you're a little older than me, and I thought to myself, I always looked up to you. I said, I always felt you were a mentor to me. You always talked.
That's awesome. Thank you.
It is. It's true. And when I saw you do that, I felt energized. So I ended up very slowly getting back in the gym, and because I wanted to do a video and hashtag send you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like right back to you. And then I feel like in my own way, I was doing that. Okay. Yeah. I never told you that, but like in my own way,
love it.
When I saw that you saw my video, you liked it, I'm like, that gave me a sense of accomplishment and a sense of I'm doing the right thing. I'm going like the right direction. So that's how that goes down. I wanted to share that with you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I know we were getting...
now I'm going to go to the bathroom, pretend to, and then cry.
All right, dude, I love this podcast already.
Yeah. I'm having a good time.
Gems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So origin story.
Yeah. Let's get it going. Let's
Okay.
get it popping.
So I wanted to ask you. All right. So the reason the origin story, I'm going to give a little background. If anyone has a favorite like superhero, a lot of times the movies of the superhero is amazing, but the number one movie that comes out is always the origin story. Like everybody wants to know how Wolverine became Wolverine,
yes.
how Spider-Man became Spider-Man, right? So a lot of times in life, we'll have these amazing like stories, okay?
Yes.
And for whatever reason, no one ever documents how you get from point A to where you're at. So a lot of people will look at my company and be like, oh, so you're a graphic designer and you've done stuff for some really cool companies out there and blah, blah, blah. They don't know that there's like, since 2001, I've been working at this craft.
Yes.
They just think that I just woke up and all of a sudden they don't see the thousands of hours that I put in behind the computer, graphic design, this and this and that. I did not want that for your book, the manuscript. I wanted people to know.
Much sense.
Yes, I wanted people to know the origin story behind the book, and I have a couple questions for you, but I want you to kind of tell us how a little bit of it came about for you, because I think that's important. And then I can get into some questions. So I guess my first question would just be, what inspired the book?
Okay.
And how it came about.
So this is, so just so you know, this book,
yeah,
it's only 100 pages long, and it's only that long because I feel like that's about how long a man should be invested in something before he's learned something and applied it.
Interesting.
Right? Because we've already wasted enough time.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I get it.
Right. It's also, that's why it talks about not becoming a dietary expert, not becoming an expert in the gym, but getting these things back in your life. But anyway, I started writing it 7 years ago, which is crazy to me. And then at the exact same time, I was recording some music. And what I've never told anybody, I might have told my wife, is that somebody came to me in church, and I'll just get this out here right now. I'm a Jesus guy. So that's always going to be threaded into what we're saying.
Yep.
It won't be exclusive to that, but it will always be an element.
Yes.
So in my church, this guy came to me and he said, "Hey, I had a dream." I'm like, okay, all right, that's cool, And when those things happen to you, sometimes you just don't even know how to receive it. Like, first of all, you might even have your dukes up a little bit, right? But what was awesome about this guy, Junior, is this is out of his MO. He doesn't approach people and just say things, right?
Okay.
And I don't think this was his moment to become that guy. He was coming to me because he felt compelled to come to me.
Right.
So he said, "Hey, man, I had this dream where you were holding this staff, and God told me to tell you, show the people your staff." And I'm like, awesome. I'm going to the studio this week because I took that word and I made it what I wanted to make it. I made it about my music.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the time I was going through some major change in life. I had decided, like you, that I was fed up with the way that I felt. Not so much the way that I look. I wasn't happy with the way that I look. But I honestly didn't know how bad I looked until I had to run across a picture that was in our crawl space, and I showed it to my wife. I said, "Hey, do I look like this?" Now imagine that statement.
Wow.
Okay, I said to my wife, and what do you think she said? What does a woman say who loves you in that moment?
I like you the way you are.
Yeah, you know how pictures put 10 pounds on you, and you know, I said, no.
Get to the gym, fat boy. You don't want to hear that, though.
Yeah, you know what she's doing in that moment, in my opinion? I come to this at that moment in life where I was like, she's managing my insecurities.
Ooh.
Right?
Deep. Yeah.
All the baggage that comes with that, she's learned to work around it, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm letting her.
Right.
Because I'm not calling myself out.
Right.
So I had gone through all those kind of make the good decision, and I was making all this progress. And out of it was I began to sort of look around at some of my friends whom I loved, but I saw them maybe living a life, Junior, that people told them they should live, and that it was going to provide this particular amount of happiness. And they had followed all of those rules.
Yeah.
And then I looked at them and I'm like, man, you don't look really happy. You don't look healthy. Nothing that you love is still in your life. What's going on? What pushes us there? And then all of this stuff just started going out of me.
You start writing.
I started writing.
Wow.
And there's some random nature to that book. And that is why, because it's almost as random as this conversation you and I are having.
I get it.
And that was the origin of it. But I want you to know that guy saying that to me in the beginning of that, I just finished the book about, and it's not because I've been working on it for 7 years. Yeah. It's because I stopped working on it for 6.
Wow.
It's mind blowing, right? And here we are.
Yeah.
You know, I send one message to you.
Yep.
And you had something in your mind, which was that you wanted to do something like this, and you were looking for a good way to start this. Yeah. And you were like, and we're marrying this thing together. And it's just the beginning.
Yeah. It's awesome that we have the connection, even as you say that, we have the connection to know. I never verbalized that to you.
Man.
But you're smart enough to see it and say, oh yeah, I'm okay with this. Yeah. Does that make sense? Because I didn't pitch it to you that way either.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. You got a lot of curveballs coming, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. The pitch for me was more the sense of the opportunity to make the cover, the idea, right? The idea, the graphic design story that J-Wo talked about a little while ago was an opportunity for me to make a cover, which then led Jay to send me the book, a rough draft of the book. Me reading the book, and a couple chapters in, I couldn't even contain myself, wrote you back. I'm like, hey, this book needs to be a university study. It has to be. It has to be. That's out there. I know that's out there. Yeah.
Oh man, you made me feel so good.
We need to take this book and like dissect it into many books, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we did do that, we did talk about that. Yeah. But that might then you're like, yo, hold on. Yeah. Let's finish the book. Let me get the things I need to do to get this book finished. And then in the interim, things that were going on in my life, the last 5 years of my life, I have been pursuing purpose in my life. Yeah. And I realized that I grew into a voice. This is crazy, okay? Like I don't even know how to say this really, but a lot of times people want you to have it all figured out, right? By the time you go to college at 18, 19 years old, and they want you to pick a career, okay, that you're going to do for the rest of your life. Yeah. You're only 19 years old, right? Yeah. And they want you to, like what you just said, hey, we want you to follow this path. This is someone else's dream. You tell them your dream and they laugh. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, not too many people at a Lake Station made it on the big screen, so maybe you should take this path and work at the mill, right? Example. And I'm not saying working at the mill is a bad thing. I'm just saying that it might not be your passion, right? Or your voice or your purpose. And for me, to develop my voice, it took a long time. I always had this phobia that anything that I could say, maybe I stuttered too much, maybe my voice was too squeaky, all these things that I put on myself. And over the last 5 years was a journey for me in finding a purpose, in finding my voice, and realizing that over the last 45 years of my life, I've been put in positions and gone through things in life that have allowed me to gain the knowledge and wisdom that where I can make good choices, where I've made, good choices in my life, and I'm able to share those. And what better platform to share those than voice, right? For me,
no better platform.
No better platform right now. So when I was talking to you about voice and about, I had the idea of the origin story. I was like, wait, we can actually start recording this, and it fills a few different purposes for us, right? We get to talk about the book. We get to talk about your story. We get to talk about my story. We get to infuse the life lessons that we have, that you're writing about and that we've both come across into men around the world, even if it's just one. Right?
Yeah.
Like the only soul guy that's watching this or listening to us right now, it might just be for this guy.
Yeah. Thank you, Connor.
Oh, that's a guy, Connor?
Yeah. I don't know. But think about the one dude, Connor, who's listening. So he's like, that was for me.
That was for you. And for me, I was thinking more along the lines, like you said, Instagram or, so I'm thinking of the handle, how you got a handle name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was thinking of, Gunslinger 465.
Oh man.
This is for you, Gunslinger 465. So that's crazy how we both, we have the same, like we know what we're trying to get to, but sometimes we go about it a couple of different ways. So that was awesome, man. So I said earlier in the podcast that I had a couple questions for you, and I wanted to surprise you a little, so I changed all the questions I sent you earlier were false.
Bam.
No, I'm joking. But one of the questions I asked, we talked about superheroes earlier, and I said, "What is your favorite superhero origin story, and why?"
Yeah.
And why?
That's a good question, and you know what? I'm afraid that I'm going to give off our age here, and
I think you did earlier, by the way. But we might edit that, so go ahead.
Yeah,
so for those, we'll see if people can guess if we edit that.
So this is going to be somebody that it absolutely is a superhero, but unless you watch TV in the 80s, you don't understand. Now, how do you frame the question again?
Oh, I said, what is your favorite superhero origin story?
Okay.
And why?
So
you said in the 80s?
In the 80s.
Okay.
So do you remember the show, The Greatest American Hero?
Yeah. Okay.
So he's this bumbling guy who runs across this suit.
Yeah.
He has absolutely no training. He's unqualified. Right? Junior, I'm going to say a lot of things, and you're going to say a lot of things. You're probably way more qualified than me. I'm highly unqualified, except for I feel like I've almost been blessed to give this message that's on my heart. Amen. And that's all the qualification I need.
Awesome.
Okay? So for me, that's going to be enough. This guy in this story was a mess, and he came across this suit, and he was able to do great things for people, but he was always kind of a wreck. So I feel like being able to accomplish things for people, being able to breathe like life into people with just your words is a superpower.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like some people are going to say, hey, why would you guys, who qualified you guys to give anybody advice?
Right.
Well, life.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Amen.
And
yep.
I'm going to blow your mind right now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy. And I've seen a lot of people with a lot of material things that are pretending to be happy and a lot of status. And at the core, when I'm alone with them, they're not happy. So
Makes
that
sense.
to me, that qualifies me enough. And I just put on that suit, and I'd love to be your greatest American hero for the next 23 minutes.
That's awesome.
So that's maybe outside of what people would expect me to
Right.
say. I also like the guys who use their mind.
Yeah.
I like what's his name?
Tony Stark.
Yes, Tony Stark,
Iron Man.
or maybe Xavier, right?
Xavier, yeah.
Right,
Here's
because
another one.
he's he looks disabled.
Yep.
But he's got on another level. He's
Yeah.
he's appealing to you via mental power, and
I love that.
yeah,
That's
I love
great.
that. I love
Yeah.
that guy too, right? So
Yeah, with something that you said about people seeming happy, I always tell I tell my son a couple times. I said happiness is short lived. Understand what I'm talking
Yeah.
about here? So if I get you your favorite burger from your favorite burger spot, right, and you eat the burger day one, you're like, Dad, oh man, that was the best burger ever. So I tell you, great, you're about to eat the same burger tomorrow for all 3 meals, and you might actually be happy. Okay, sure, right?
sure.
Around day 4 of eating the exact same burger from the exact same burger spot,
Yeah.
from you're not going to be too happy,
No,
right?
No.
So I feel like, and I'm agreeing with you in this part, because the happiness you're talking about, I feel, is called joy.
it's joy.
It's
You're
joy.
100%.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I
so
feel joy.
we call it happiness here, but for
It's joy. He's right.
for Gunslinger 365 at Gunslinger 365, I want to just let him know that what we're talking about is a different type of happiness. It's joy, and joy. I can go through a horrible circumstance. It could be a horrible place in my life, but with the right perspective, I can come out, right? So if I have joy, I can come out with a good outcome.
Junior, perspective
Is everything.
is literally a whole episode.
Yeah.
You know it is.
Yeah, it is. But I just wanted to say that,
love
from the happiness to the joy, a lot of people are out there just seeking the next quick fix to
Yes.
make them happy. And really what they need to find is the joy in their heart, the joy of their life, and the purpose and why they're doing it. So, all right. Thanks, man, Jay. That was a great answer to a question. I got another one here is, who is the ideal person you're trying to reach with your book, and why? Just in case somebody missed it. I think you already touched on it, but
So the book, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can, is this podcast is not only for men, but that book is only for men.
no.
Yes, imagine that. So
That's not politically correct.
no,
right,
it's
Jay?
not political.
Like, you're going to get a lot of backlash. You're not going to get you're going to get a lot of backlash here.
Here's what's going to
from the
happen.
women,
I'm going to get a
right?
lot of backlash, or a lot of women are going to be like, I'm reading that book.
Ooh,
So that
okay.
there's a possibility that you might want to know why your husband just washed the dishes and went and jumped a ramp on his 87 Schwinn Predator.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
you
a cool
might.
bike. I want that one.
You might, yeah, that's
I
it's
want
a
it.
classic.
Yeah.
You might be wondering, like, what is this guy saying to my husband, right? That has him wanting to rekindle some of that thing that made him special when you thought he was awfully hot. Okay, Sally? So, believe me, the book is for men, but I understand that there are women that love their husband, that love their boyfriend, and they might want to know the way he's thinking, or the way he should be thinking. Let me just go on a limb and say that.
Yeah.
And they may dive into the book, and the
Yeah.
book talks to them because I think they're incredible for caring enough to want to know
Yeah.
what's going on with their
I
husband.
love that. I love that. And I love the reverse psychology you just used there.
Yeah.
Where'd you learn that?
I don't know. I mean, did Adam go get the apple?
Interesting.
No, but he said, "Let me taste it," didn't
Let
he?
me taste it. I heard there's a new song out by Kanye, and he says, "What if the apple was apple juice?"
Man, Kanye.
A little different there. This is the second to last question. If your book were an animal, what animal would it be?
So a couple times in the book, because I am talking to the ladies who I
Yes.
think if they don't finish the book, if they start it and they see the way I'm kind of talking to their significant others, they may think, well, this guy's a sexist pig.
Yeah.
First, right?
Right.
But then I say to them, listen, if you've come this far, please finish reading the book, which isn't hard for women. They're phenomenal at commitment, right? But because I'm going to come off maybe by the end as a lovable Rottweiler, but really, if you know me, you're going to be like, nah, more like a miniature pinscher. Okay, so I would say it's a miniature pinscher. Maybe biting at the ankles of these of my band of brothers, trying to get them motivated.
Awesome, man. That was great. And if you could have any human endorse this book, who would it be and why?
So I told you I was a Jesus guy, so you might be expecting me to say Joel Osteen, but and I like him. He's he's awesome. I
That's
listen to
cool.
him almost every day. But the guy that I really would love to endorse the book
Yeah.
would be Gary V.
Oh, yeah.
And Vaynerchuk, I think is how you say his name.
Yep.
But
Gary Vanderchuk. Yep.
the reason I would want him to endorse the book, Fernando, is because I love the way he calls people out for making excuses, and I love the way he people will say, hey, you know, I really would love to have some of that passive income, and they're talking to him about how they want to be on the beach in Mexico,
Right.
and they want to start on the beach in Mexico, and when I think about a guy like you,
Right.
and you're blowing up right now, and if this is your moment, like your business, you've been sewing into it for 15 years.
Right.
And you may come on the scene on some Instagram post and with the next greatest thing, and everyone's going to think that you're brand new. You're not brand new. You've done 15 years of hustle.
Yeah.
And that's where your muscle is in your hustle.
Yeah.
And you're
That's
a
a good
self-made man. You've made great choices to position yourself to take advantage of your moment, and you will be in the game 3 years from then. You're not a bright, shining, burning out star. And he tells people that that's what you need to be. Everything, service, relationships is next level.
Yes.
And almost never put yourself, it never needs to be about you. If it's never about you, Junior, that's how you actually make it about you. So that's how I feel about that.
Love that, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you answering some of these, questions and, telling us about the origin story for your book. And I think a lot of people are for me, I feel, this is a good, how awesome is it going to be when Ryder, right?
Yes, sir.
20 years from now says, my dad put out 400 podcasts, and he goes back to number one, and he hears us talking about this, and he's already going to be groomed. He's being groomed by
I'm working on him.
Yeah, you're working on him. That thing stopped recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
Wore it out.
we wore it out, yep. And so we kind of know now, 32 minutes. But he knows that, or he sees kind of this story, And then somebody asks Ryder who his superhero is, and wouldn't it be awesome for him to say, "My dad"?
Oh my gosh.
And then he starts telling him your origin story because he actually seen it or heard it or knows it. Man,
I know. Could you imagine if your kid was still talking good about you when they're like 37?
yeah.
You are a superhero, in my opinion. If your kid is still talking to you in your 40s,
yeah. I got another one, man. I think legacy is very important. Imagine your great grandchildren. You're not even around anymore because you're already 100% downloaded, and right,
yeah.
So you're gone. Right? How old's Ryder?
Ryder is 11.
Ryder's 11% downloaded.
Yeah,
right.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love it.
So imagine his grandkids, right? Mm-hmm. Coming across this footage.
Yeah.
This voice, and they're in class and they write a term paper and they're talking about their superhero Wacasey, right? That's awesome, man. And that's what we're trying to do here. We want to lift men up and, impart awesomeness, understand how awesome and how unique men really are, And I feel like this is a great segue to talk about the mission.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. I got some questions for you. You're hogging up all our time asking me questions. So here we go. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, since this podcast thing was your idea, Junior, and I feel like it was brewing inside you for a while, I feel like you have a great eye for relevant media.
Okay.
It's because you turned me on to Andy Mineo, and you have this great style.
Okay.
And I think you can picture your style, which is why you're a creator and you love creators. It's like a thing. You shared something with me the other day about little boys being creators, but I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about that at one point. But the question I have for you is, what do you think? Like, we're going to talk about the book. We mentioned that earlier, but we're going to run out of the book.
Yeah.
The book is just the inception of this conversation.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the mission statement long after we're done with talking about the book?
So
for the mental edge, mental statement for the mental edge.
For the mental edge. So I thought about that, and in order for me to give you what I feel my version of the mission statement is, I have to go back a little bit and talk about a couple things. So I do better when I explain why the thought process. So I'll get into it. And if you ever look around at your life, and example, you're coming home from work and you pull up and your neighbor, he's maybe cutting the grass, and I'm trying to, he's cutting the grass. You got a couple guys cutting the grass, and they're like yelling stuff to each other. This happened and that happened. And they sit on the porch, crack a brew, and a lot of times men, they'll sit there and just talk about like how crappy their life is, right? I mean, this is a guy who's making $80,000 at the mill, has a beautiful house, has time to cut his grass,
has time.
Yeah. And then he's talking about how crappy his wife is, his kids don't listen. It's like a lot of like these negative.
It's a default communication.
Yeah, that default. Yeah. I mean, and I never worked at the mill, but from working at the mill, from knowing guys that work at the mill, I feel like this is a culture that is kind of embodied in that area, and you have a lot of that stuff happening. It's funny because I walk around with a guy and I know him as John, but then when I'm at Menards with John, he runs across a buddy from work and they call him Maytag, and I'm like,
yeah, is that a middle name?
No, that's like his mill name.
Yeah, it's a middle name. Like I had a buddy.
Mill name. I thought you said middle.
No, it's his mill name.
Mill name. Yeah.
Like I had a buddy named Blowfly.
Who?
Blowfly. Right? I can't make this up. What's up, Blowfly?
And everybody's calling him Blowfly.
I don't even know what his real name is.
You know what happened? Real quick, that happened to me in high school with Smiley. To this day, I don't know his name. I called him Smiley. And then when I saw him at the store one time, 20 years later, I was like, hey, Smiley, what's up? Because I was happy to see him. And he's like, I don't go by that anymore. I was like, oh.
Robert Draper. Because he was in my class.
Oh, yeah, he was in your
He was in my class. Grade. That's why he was in my classes with me even. So I knew his name. I heard, when they were doing roll call, they didn't say Smiley. But we only called him Smiley because he only smiled. I mean,
he did.
You could not deliver bad news to Smiley and him not smile.
No. And so that's how I knew him as Smiley. I remember on the football field, the coach would be yelling at him. He takes off his helmet and he's smiling.
He's smiling.
Yeah. So So that was why I called him Smiley. We had Chisel.
Yes.
You remember Chisel?
Chisel, man. And you would look at him and be like, oh, yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense, right. Makes sense. So, anyway, I got off on a little bunny trail there. But so we had, like you said, the default, conversation. Here's another scenario. You're in a relationship and your spouse is asking you for change, right? You're at home and your spouse is like, honey, or baby or whatever they call you. did you see what so-and-so did? Oh, look at these pictures. Oh, they went here, they did that. And a lot of times, you know, you're just like, hey, babe, you're like, move over. I can't watch the game. You know what I'm saying? You're really not interested in what she has to say, or your spouse has to say, or he has to say. This could go both ways.
Yes.
This is not just a one-sided, you know.
Absolutely.
But or you know, you got a job where they're very supportive of you. You know, at the job, they're very supportive and they want you to excel, but you take all the tools that they're trying to give you for granted, right? Maybe for 1 month, 2 months. Some employers, they allow you to do that for a period of time. So you might be taking this stuff for granted for months, and then either you get cut or they fire you, or they, you know, whatever it is, or the scenario with the spouse, maybe you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe she left me, you know. And or you know, the scenario I said with the house, this person, you know, loses that house, you know what I mean? You probably know people like this. You know, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, might even be you.
That's right.
Like this scenario fits. Some of these scenarios fit me.
Sure.
So right,
we'll reveal some of these things.
And I feel like, and we'll reveal. And I feel like there's two types of people when we talk about that. You know, you have the intense urgency go-getters that we talked about with the whole Gary V. example, right? And then you have some that when those types of things happen, when their life starts to crumble, and you know, this is very hard to admit, but especially as a man, we go into what I call fix-it mode. Right?
Absolutely.
As men, we love to fix, and then we go into, you know, freak out and go 1,000% urgent, like she's gone. She's already mourned and did all this, but we were too busy trying to watch TV or hang out with the fellas or go play pool, right? So, you know, what I take from that is I want, and this is where we're getting into how I feel like painting the picture for the mission statement. From that, I'm looking to equip men with like the necessary tools to execute and develop the good habits, you know, maybe listen to their wife, maybe pay attention at work, go 100%, you know, like in what they're doing, be alive in the moment. Right. And I feel like that's what this podcast is about, is we want to equip men like a fighter jet, right? You go if you're a fighter jet and you have an arsenal on you, right? You might have some Tomahawk missiles on you, right? You might have what other kind of bombs are there, right? Like you don't want to go into war with a jet that is ill prepared.
Pew pew.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with
Trevor.
that, right? Or how about if you're trying to build a house and you come with no tools, right? You need the tools, you need the equipment to do the job right. And I feel like that's what the Mental Edge is for me, and is about equipping men with the tools, you know, the Tomahawk missiles that they need in life, man.
That's right. And
so,
and we're going to wrap it up here real soon. And you know what? What I wanted to say was, because that was phenomenal. Every time you talk, I feel like I'm in school.
Thanks, bro.
No, seriously. And so there was something you said there, and you talked about equipping, and I want to end with this thought, unless something that you have to.
No.
So it blows my mind that in every aspect of life where we're expecting something or we want something, we've accepted, Junior, that the quality of what we get out of something is directly related to what we put into it. Meaning, people are like, I don't want that countertop in my house because this house is going to be here for 65 years. Give me the granite, right? I'm not going to build this house out of toothpicks. I want, you'll get me the 2x6s. I ain't even using 2x4s. I want the stainless for my car, right? My dash, I want, give me that Naugahyde for my, yet we that negative attitude is the product of what we're bringing into our mind.
Yeah.
And listen, that isn't working for you, fellas. It's not working. It wasn't working for me. I had to change my perspective.
Yes.
You know, and I don't want to even use the cliched glass half full, because if you're watering your grass, your glass gonna be empty. Go fill it back up.
Go fill it back up.
Water your grass.
Right.
But I want you to know that you're gonna have to, nothing that is gonna be sustainable for you, no change is going to be easy. Don't listen to the snake oil salesmen who tell you that you'll be great in 90 days. Just take this pill, just do this thing. All they're giving you is something to get you to the 90 days, and they're setting you up to fail, and they know that you're going to be ready for something else. And don't worry, we got that for sale too. Okay? So sow those good things into your life, and we're going to talk about those good things in the upcoming episodes. And none of them are going to be easy.
Love that.
Throw easy out the door. Easy has never gotten you anything. It's gotten even a word.
It is now.
We're from Lake Station.
Yeah.
It's cool for us.
It's cool for us.
So,
right.
Forget hitting the snooze button. It's something you talk about.
Yeah.
Get up. Start doing the hard thing. The hard to do makes a better you. And if you're ready for change, we're going to tell you what is working in our life. And I want you guys to know something, because I'm saying this stuff. When I say it to you, I'm saying it for me too, because I got to hear it.
That's right.
I wrote that book, Junior, because those words are the thoughts that I needed to read. As I was writing them and typing them, they were to me.
That's right.
So that I can go back, so I can hand it to my sons.
Yeah.
You know, so that my daughter and my wife can read it and say, this is how he thinks.
Your great grandkids.
And my great grandkids.
Because you're going to be their superhero.
The aliens when they come. in 3192,
right?
And the hologram pops up, you know, and me and the American greatest American hero thing,
outfit. Right? That's the theme.
And they leave our planet feeling better about themselves.
That's it. That's what we want.
I had a good time tonight.
Me too, man. I appreciate you having me on and sharing this experience with me again, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, brother.
All right.
Well, all right. That'll just about wrap it up. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Mental Edge Podcast with your host, Frenando Lopez. What do you think about him, ladies? Yeah. And of course, his trusty sidekick, Wacasey.
Hey, that's me.
Remember, one of the most flattering things you can do if you enjoyed this content is to like and share it, and then tune into episode
number 2.